but the electricity came through the TV, man. What was it like to be down there?
It's been fun. I mean, it's been fun, I would say, the entire series. This was more people than we've had up to this point. But, yeah, great crowd. And you kind of sense coming into the game that it was going to be one of those games. It's like, hey, shorthanded, didn't play well on the road the last game, trying to figure some things out. Like you were going to need, some big moments from the crowd, and they delivered. And that's been the story of the Sixers in good times and bad times over the past few years. They really don't lose a lot in that building. And that's a nice thing to have,
That certainly is. And before we get to the game itself, I do want to talk about why they were shorthanded. I actually figured this was good news with Joel Embiid. I mean, considering what it could have been, which is done for the playoffs, the meniscus tear isn't the worst possible news. How severe do you really think this injury is?
It's hard to say. I mean, it just seems like from their end, there's still a lot of uncertainty. Like they will tell you straight up that they think he is day to day. But I don't know. It's a little bit hard for me to reconcile meniscus tear and day to day. Those two things don't sound the same. Look, and I get it. I get that sometimes they're not as bad. They're not acute tears or whatever. I think that'll be over the next couple of days. I'll probably be doing a little more homework, not just on the Atlanta Hawks, but on what that decision is like, whether a guy can play through it. I mean, I'll tell you, like I was a little bit surprised. Like he was working out before the game tonight, and obviously not doing anything too stressful, but like he was taking his normal mid-range jump shots. So, yeah, it certainly seems like it's a murky injury that they don't have like the perfect handle on, but that's the story of this team over the past 5 years. If I had to guess though, like, yeah, he'll be back at some point, it just seems like it, but I don't know, they don't know either.
Now you mentioned that word acute. And acute is when I always hear that word, I think of callers Colangelo talking about how Joel Embiid had a tear in his meniscus that was too acute to even report to the media, if you remember that. A couple of days later, he played in a nationally televised game against the Houston Rockets, and then he was done for the season. Again, only 28 games his rookie year. So that's in the back of my mind right now, that the Sixers might take this too lightly, and then the Sixers end up losing them for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a little bit of a different scenario because, Mark, like they weren't good at that time, and it was just kind of like, at that point, it was like, let's just get this guy healthy through a year. He just missed 2 years with a foot injury. Like the calculus on this one is different. Like they could win the championship if everything goes right here. And obviously, I think that the other part of this that I think is really important, and, again, like I am, I don't root for the Sixers anymore, but like I certainly don't want to see Joel Embiid's season end by injury. Like that would stink. I would feel bad for everybody involved. My question would be though, like, if he comes back and plays, like they're going to need him, maybe not this round, but next round, they're going to need him to be the guy who's killing everybody that we just saw like last week. We've seen all season, but the guy who's just been completely dominant, been the best player on the floor pretty much the entire season. And my question is, like, when he comes, if he can come back, can he still be that guy? And maybe he can. He played for like 4 minutes after that. That was a different element of this, but I gotta imagine he's in some serious pain because, like, this is a guy who I've seen him fall on his back and hurt his knee a million times. He comes back against like bad teams in the regular season, and so for him to miss a couple of games, it's clearly bothering him. But like, good job tonight, taking care of business, giving him a little bit of extra rest, and we'll see how they manage him coming into this series.